Welcome to the Sultans of Sales podcast. I'm your host, Jamil. On the show today, we have Amanda Penny-Colin. Amanda comes to us from Columbus, Ohio, and she's the Director of Business Development at Greymont. Amanda and I have connected on LinkedIn, surprise, surprise. And it's just such a fun platform to connect with other like-minded individuals, other leaders, other people that have been in this industry. And so we connected a while ago. I've been seeing you, Amanda, some of the things that you're posting and, vice versa. So this is such a great opportunity for us to come together and for me to share your story with the audience. So thank you so much for joining the show. Welcome.
Thank you, Jay. It is exciting to be here. As you know, I've been following your work on LinkedIn. I enjoy it. It's fun to be a part of your network. So yeah, this is great. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Well, just to kick things off, like, what's your story? What's your background? Where'd you grow up? Where'd you come from? Just so people can get to know you.
Yeah. So I am a Ohio girl, lived in Ohio my whole life. I found my way into medical device sales back in 2006. It was one of those deals where, I was kind of told, you're not really the hiring profile for an orthopedic medical device rep.
Interesting choice of words.
I thought, I'm gonna ignore that, and ended up getting my foot in the door with Smith & Nephew as an orthopedic trauma support rep here in Columbus. I did that for a couple years and really felt ready to kind of have my own territory, my own accounts, and step into a full sales role. And so I switched over to the sports medicine side of Smith & Nephew. And I was there for about 10 years and did field sales training and just really learned so much, had a great group of people, many very intelligent surgeons and nurses that I worked with, and it was an awesome experience.
So field sales training is an interesting one that perks my ears up because, I've gotten a wide variety of different experiences depending on the companies that I've been with in terms of how they train. What's your philosophy? What works? What doesn't work?
I think that every person learns in a little bit of a different way. Some people are I call it fortunate, and they can just read and remember data. I'm not that type of person. I'm the type of person that, I need to experience it. I need repetition. So I think it's the most important piece of that for me was just trying to figure out, like, how is this person going to learn this? How is this person going to understand it? And then be able to obviously apply it, because in medical device, it's not just about memorizing material, but it's also being able to act on the fly and have ideas and have solutions for the surgical team. So I would say for me, that was a big part of how I approached working with people and training with people.
It's good. Yeah. It's, a couple of things you mentioned there are absolutely so true. You have to be able to internalize the information. So memorizing something on a whether it's anatomy or whether it's a surgical procedure or really anything, it's not going to do you any service when the pressure's up, the patient's on the table, and the surgeon needs you to articulate something either to them or to their staff in a way that's going to add value. And so that's really important, and I'm glad to hear that we share that same philosophy.
Yes, absolutely.
What have you learned over the course of your career that you wish you knew when you were starting out?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say that everything takes time, and there's no shortcuts to be had. You have to put in the work, and you have to start at kind of the bottom, to use the phrase, and things take time, and there has to be patience. Everyone wants to get into that big sales role or start their own business or get the sales awards or whatever it may be, but like you have to have the patience and you have to put in the hours that it takes to get good at your craft and to master your craft, and then be able to get to the point you want to be at. And I think that that's something that's hard to accept at the beginning of a career where you have high goals.
Yeah, that's so well said. It's hard to accept, Amanda. It's also really hard to do when you're in the thick of it, when you're not making any money, when you're working crazy hours, when there's really no one giving you a lot of guidance, because, you know, at least my path as an associate, there's no training, there's no showing you how to sell. You're kind of not really getting to do the ultimately the work that you're going to need to do to grow. And that's something that I'm super passionate about, right? Building farm teams, building up tomorrow's future leaders. And, you know, because I remember back, you know, being in the basement of an OR and covering cases, and then just really wanting to, okay, this is great, but this is all the stuff that comes after the sell. And what I really am passionate about, and what I'm, I think, doing today at a high level, is that conversation, that magical conversation with a surgeon, like where you get to actually articulate the value of something and put it in their terms, and, you know, why it matters to your surgeon or to a hospital or an ASC. So how can we do that? What are your thoughts, maybe with training, maybe with sales structure, organizational? How can we better equip our junior associate reps? And I have a follow-up question, but I want to hear your first answer.
So I think with medical device is a unique animal in that so much of our time is dedicated in training people on the product and the technical aspect and how to function in an OR, all those sorts of things. And so really, in my experience, sales always took a back seat. Training on sales always kind of took a back seat to just being an expert on the product and the anatomy and the technical pieces. And so, you know, the answer I think is simple, but not necessarily easy to accomplish, which is teams, medical device leadership has to buy into the fact that like your people do need training. They do need to take time outside of the OR. They do need, there is money that needs to be spent on giving people sales training. And I'm a firm believer in that. And I really felt that when I left medical device, I found myself in a role where I was having to do a bit more of, you know, cold outreach or reaching out through LinkedIn, using different avenues other than just like being in between cases or being at the scrub sink or the other ways that I used to know in having a sales conversation. And so I really, really think that companies are missing the mark if this doesn't become a focus in the future.
It's fascinating. I agree 100%, because the landscape, as you said, is shifting, especially with COVID. I mean, you can't just be, and I saw this as sales leader. I couldn't get access to the hospital when my team was working with this local sales teams, right? It's it's a capped number of people in the room, which I get it. I understand why.
Yes.
But it marginalizes and kind of reduces the value of those scrub sync opportunities, right? And with vendor credentialing, they're getting just more and more less opportunities to do what, you know, we used to do. I started in 2008, you know, a couple of years after you, you know, but this brings up really a very interesting point, and kind of my second question that I was alluding to earlier. Mm-hmm. A senior rep out there, and look, I'm not here to expose anybody, but this is absolutely just how it is. They are incentivized to hold their relationships and to hold the keys of selling and kind of like all those things to themselves, because you know, why would they train up a junior that could be potentially their future competition?
Right. Train your replacement.
Yeah. So I think that we're missing the boat, though, because to grow share in large ways, and this is something that I'm passionate about and I'm going to do, right, regardless of where and when, I think that we've got to think holistically as that team approach where everyone needs to be all in. Like people need to be on the boat. And this is from one of my managers. He learned it from his football coach. Like the boat's going in a certain direction. Like everyone's job is just to row that way. And we got to kind of figure out like where everyone's sitting, if I'm making sense, and just don't ask, like, just move forward. Like we have to enable our juniors, our clinicals, our associate sales reps to understand how to talk to surgeons, to talk to administration, right? They can't just be these quote unquote low level people. Right. I was that person. I spent 2 years as an associate, and it was like I was clearly ready, and there just wasn't an opportunity for me, and had to go to a competitor, and that shouldn't be the case. You know, if we just figure this out, and I think I've got some things in the works that are going to help the industry as a whole, and help these corporations or these distributorships. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting journey. Let's leave it at that. Depends on when we air this episode.
I love that. And I would just add to the many excellent points you just made, that, you know, different people are really good at different parts of the sales process.
Yes.
And so why not, as a team, if you have access to different people, maybe some of them are more junior reps, maybe some of them are more senior, but why not tap into people's strengths or unique interests and make people specialists within the team for certain portions of
That's right.
the process, because really they're all working together anyways. Oftentimes different reps will cover cases.
That's right.
Different reps will join together in a sales call or a dinner. Reps will come together to help do in-services. And so there's already that collaborative function. Why not make people specialists?
That's right. This is so great. I so agree with what you're saying. And then to take it a step further, what type of sales are we in? Relationship sales. So not everybody gets along with everybody on the same level, and it's okay. Look, I'm not everybody's favorite person. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I don't have to be. I've got the relationships with the people that I have relationships with. I remember when I had my territory, a very big territory across the city of Austin, I had 2 very good associate reps that had really good relationships with a few key surgeons and some of their staff. And I encourage that. It's okay. It was to the point, and this was a sign of success when they, instead of me being that alpha dog, I wanted to empower my juniors to be the alpha dog in that specific room for those people. Like, let them own those relationships. And I'm not afraid that they're going to take them. I'm encouraging them, because if they grow, then I grow. That's the team mentality. To your point, everyone is a specialist in their own right. Like everyone's a sultan in their own right, a sultan of sales, a sultan of service, a sultan of swagger, a sultan of,
That's
surgery.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of the thing. And I love that I just think that there's so much here. Like, just like big tech is starting to kind of make their ways into our world because it's ripe for disruption and innovation. I think that there's so much opportunity in terms of the organizational structure and how we're approaching the business. And that's what I'm passionate about.
I love that.
I love it too.
I definitely think we're all going to have to adapt, change. I see such a place now on every medical sales team for someone much like what you're doing, which is someone who turns their attention to a platform like LinkedIn, turns their attention to developing content and developing unique perspective on an online platform. No one or very few people are doing that right now. And I see that as a piece of future sales teams and needing that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I can send them a check in the mail. That's awesome. I'm glad that, thank you. It means a lot with your experience coming from and your background. What do you think? I mean, I'm fascinated by LinkedIn. I mean, I think it's clear. I think that this is I don't want to say untapped resource, but I think it's an underutilized resource. You know, I posted something this morning about and this was something I saw actually on Twitter. So it's another place that I'm starting to kind of learn a little bit more about. Mm-hmm. Are we using technology, or is it using us in terms of social? Because I feel that like if you're just there scrolling through, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn, and you're literally wasting time. I don't like wasting time. Like I'm extremely efficient. I plan out my days, right? I'm sure you do as well. And when I'm on social, it's to engage, like to create the content, to maybe learn, and then I'm off of it. I'm very guarded. I don't spend all day scrolling it. And even though I'm on there a lot, it's early in the morning, like 7. And then I work, and then maybe around lunchtime, I'll check it again, do some engagement responses, whatever. And then again after work, because you have to be guarded with your time. And you're a mother of 2. I'm a father of 2. You also, there's little eyeballs looking at you. Yes. And I'm very cognizant of that. I don't want them thinking that this is the answer. It's not. It's just a tool that we can use. The important piece, even though you and I are staring into a computer screen or a webcam, the important piece is connection. Mm-hmm. It's the collaboration. It's the you and I here talking, having a conversation, just like we're across from one another. And that's the special sauce. That's why people need to remember, it's as much as digital and these types of social platforms are important, they're just augmenting the relationship that I think you and I know is so special. What do you, that's not even a question. It's just a huge, long statement, and I'm trying not to talk. I'm just so excited. I'm going to go on mute. I want to hear just everything about LinkedIn social channel.
So I think I agree with you. It's one of those things where it can be an incredible asset, an incredible benefit, and it can also be a huge waste of time and a huge detriment. It can also create, mind games where you're comparing and all of the negative things that we know come from social media. But this is where we are. This is the world we live in. We're all used to managing social media, or we should get used to managing social media in our personal lives. So I don't see why we can't do it in our professional as well. I think what excites me most about LinkedIn is this conversation is an example. I would probably, under normal circumstances, not run into you, not know you, not be able to connect with you. But here we are, 2 people that are sharing ideas and perspective in an industry that we both have been in for a while. And so that feels really good. I also see it as an incredible way to learn industry news, see what some of my surgeons are doing, learn from them, understand my customer better, understand what the issues are that they're facing. So kind of that social listening part of it. And also, I see technology in general as a powerful tool for particularly working moms, working professionals that are moms like me, because it's efficient. It's efficient. You can make calls, you can talk to people, you can connect, you can do incredible sales activities, you can do meetings without the old way of doing it, which was me like driving hours all over the place across town, being late, all of the things, right?
That's a great point.
I see that as just such a huge door opener for us to bring more professionals, women, moms that work, anyone really, dads, whoever, right, to use technology as an efficiency.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that perspective. Your wisdom is superb, and I'm glad you brought that up, because let's close there. Let's spend the last time on women in leadership. You mentioned the efficiency of it. I completely agree. As a dad who field based, but works from home when I'm not on the road. Yeah, it's super efficient. Also, I think the surgeons they don't like to waste time. They don't have time to waste. You know, I've mentioned this in other conversations, but they are extremely, extremely tapped out. They've got surgery, they've got rounding, they've got meetings, they've got a family, they have hobbies and things that they want to do. The last thing they want to do is carve out time for you or I, over Jason's Deli lunch at their clinic. That doesn't sound like, but that's why I started learning on the go when I was a rep at the walk and talk, right? Meet them when they come into the hospital, a little bit stalker, but it's okay. And say, hey doc, like, I know you got a busy schedule. You mind if we walk and talk? Okay. All they can do is say no, right? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So then you're being efficient for them. They're not wasting time. They literally have to spend that time to walk to wherever it is they're going. If you can be with them, let's do it. This video message, this connection point is the walk and talk. It's because they're there in clinic. They maybe have 20 minutes to take a call from you. That's and right. So can you dive in a little bit more? Again, I'm going to go back on mute, and I want you to talk about women in leadership and just what you maybe see as, maybe something that you could encourage, the females out there. It doesn't necessarily have to be females, but just the people out there that maybe don't think that they can commit to something because they have other commitments.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, because I don't think that that's appropriate. I wouldn't want to do that. I will say, there are certain parts, if, as a woman, if you do want to have a family, that sometimes the unpredictability of the OR schedule can be a challenge. Not that is impossible, but go in with eyes wide open. But, kind of back, I guess, to my previous comment, women in medical sales can bring such a unique perspective and such a unique opportunity. I have found that, because I always worked with, mostly a male team, there were areas where I really excelled, and then there were areas where they really excelled. And it doesn't matter. It's just the diversity. It's different people thinking different ways that really comes together to create something that is dynamic and that can adapt and apply to so many different types of customers. I love seeing, back when I started doing medical device sales and orthopedics, like, I didn't see a lot of other women doing that, right? Now I'm seeing more and more women represented, and I love that. And I think that that's part of it. I think in anything that anyone wants to do, when you see someone that looks like you or is like you or has similar life experiences to you, then you see yourself in that position and you say,
yes,
I can do that.
I can do that.
And that's the start. And that's the start right there. And it's already begun. And I love it.
Yeah, I would say the same for diversity, right? I mean, I have multiple friends and colleagues that say those same things about how it's great to see, a little bit more of people that look like them in leadership positions and positions across the industry.
That's right.
What this is the final question, because I want to be respectful for your time. What do you want your legacy to be?
Gosh, that's a tough question.
Sorry. And for the audience, I gave Amanda no prep. This is a live conversation. I don't edit. Normally I give my guests questions, but I wanted to try a new way of just, since you and I, Amanda, had never met face to face. This is the first time outside of some LinkedIn messaging that we've ever talked live. I wanted it to be organically natural, like we just met for the first time. And so I didn't send any questions. You have not had time to prepare this. And so it's tough, and I'm not trying to put you in a bad spot.
I'm good. I like it. I'm good. So, I mean, it's maybe a bit of a dark thought, but I think to look at your legacy, you have to look at what are people going to say about you when you're gone.
Yes.
And for me, it's priorities. It's my family, my health, those are the things for me that will always come first. And those are the things that I absolutely want to get right. And then I believe that if you can do those two things right, then career and joy and all of the other things that we want to accomplish in life will follow. And so I think that if I were to frame a focus for legacy, it would be, family, health, and then just a great career, made a contribution.
That's beautiful. And I think you've got a fantastic perspective, which I think it's rare, because the first thing you said is exactly how I'm approaching this. It's you have to frame it in the way that, hey, look, if I die tomorrow, like, right, what's my legacy? What are people going to remember me by? You've heard about, everyone knows about carpe diem and just seize the day, and never miss an opportunity to make, whatever. But as I look back, I would agree, the same thing: family, right? Faith, fitness, and then the career. I want to make a larger impact. That's why I left being a sales rep in the OR, left a very good territory to chase this, dream of being in sales leadership and then making a bigger impact on the industry as a whole. And that's kind of happening and unfolding right now through this channel. And so I'm grateful to spend some time with you this morning. Thank you for carving out some time. Thank you for your real and, candid feedback to my questions, and really just grateful to know you and to be connected to you, Amanda. I think it's fantastic just to hear. We didn't even get into what you're doing, and maybe for another conversation, but just to get to know you and know that you're out there is awesome for me and for the audience as well. They're going to love you. So Amanda Penny-Colon, where could people find you? That's we'll close there. Like, if they want to learn more about you.
Just connect with me or follow me on LinkedIn. And then, if you want to see what we're up to, it's graymontx.com. And yeah, Jay, I just want to say thank you so much for including me here on the call, the podcast. I love your perspective. You know that. I'm a big fan. I'm going to continue to kind of watch and root for you. And just thank you. Thank you so much. This was great.
This was wonderful. Like, I can't think of a better way to spend time. Honestly, I mean that. And I appreciate your comments, your nice words about the content. I'm truly grateful for that. It's nice to know that I'm making a little bit of an impact along the way. And I think the best is yet to come. We're just getting started over here. So
absolutely.
Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I can't wait to talk to you next.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you guys for joining, and gals for joining the Sultans of Sales podcast. Tune in next week.